Hello, everyone. In the last lectures, we studied about the Boyd ratio, how we can calculate the Boyd ratio for the different effective states. And the Boyd ratio we can calculate using the height of solid methods that we discussed in the last lecture. And as you know, what is the effective state? I also told you at the time of consolidation test, whatever the load you are going to use in the form of a pressure on the hanger, right? That is the effective stress. Okay. And for example, I told you that in the beginning, we are going to put the 10 kilonewton per meter square, then 20 kilonewton per meter square, then 40. We are going to double the stresses, right? And for each stress, or for whatever the load you are going to provide on the hanger, we have to find out the readings, dial gauge reading for various timings, for different timings that will continue up to 24 hours, right? So for each pressures, we have to collect the readings, dial gauge reading for 24 hours. Likewise, this may continue for the 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, like that, okay? You are going to double the stresses. So the plots between the Boyd ratio and the effective stress are required for what purpose? Based on these graphs, we can define different definitions like coefficient of compressibility, coefficient of volume change, right? Then compression index, expansion index, and many more. So we can understand the importance of graphs in between the effective stress and Boyd ratio that we have discussed in the last lecture. So today we shall talk about the determination of coefficient of consolidation. So we shall talk about the square root of time fitting method. This method was proposed by the Taylor in 1948. How we can determine the CV, coefficient of consolidation, by a square root of time fitting method, right? Here we can see coefficient of consolidation or settlement or consolidation, how we can determine during the consolidation test, right? As you know, in the beginning, we used 10 kilonewton per meter square pressure on the hanger. So, and the data was collected, the reading was collected, the dial gauge reading we collected for 24 hours at a different timing, right? So how we can find out this coefficient of consolidation based on the time and the dial gauge reading, right? For a particular pressure increment. Particular pressures may be 10 kilonewton per meter square, maybe 20, right? So for any pressures, how we can find out the coefficient of consolidations? So the Taylor, what he did, he determined the coefficient of consolidation by comparing the characteristics of the two curves. One is the experimental curves and another is the theoretical consolidation curve. Experimental consolidation curve means the graph which was plotted in between the time and the dial gauge reading. And then theoretical consolidation, right? Theoretical consolidation, it is also a graph which has been plotted in between the time factor and degree of consolidation. So you can see these procedures are called as curve fitting method, because both the graphs, experimental as well as the theoretical, have been found similar, right? As Taylor has proposed that these graphs are similar. So that's why this method, the square root of time fitting method, can be used for the determination of coefficient of consolidation. Let us see. I will explain this graph one by one. You can see this is the theoretical graphs, theoretical consolidation curve, and this is the experimental consolidation curve. which we have drawn based on the time, right? Time and the dial gauge reading. And here the degree of U is the degree of consolidation and TV is the time factor. We can see that here initial compression, the primary consolidations or the secondary consolidation. I will explain the graphs in details one by one, right? You can see here what it says, what he says, an experimental consolidation curve based on the consolidation test data for a particular pressure increment. Particular pressure means which may be 10 kilonewton per meter square, because you have collected the data, collected the dial gauge reading for the period of 24 hours at a different timing for the 10 kilonewton per meter square. Likewise, you can also plot the graphs, experimental graphs for 20 kilonewton per meter square, and then you can calculate the coefficient of consolidations, which we are going to discuss now. So what it says that is plotted between a square root of time and dial gauge reading. This is the experimental consolidation curve, and theoretical curve between the degree of consolidation U and a square root of time factor. TV is the time factor, okay? So these two graphs have been found similar as per the Taylor. So it is seen that the theoretical curve is linear. What it says, the Taylor has said that theoretical curve is linear up to 60% of 60% consolidation. That means at the 60% degree of consolidation, you can see this line is completely straight up to 60% of this is in percentage, 60%, 90%, 100% like that. Okay, and this is the square root of time factor. So what he says that up to 60%, it is in the form of a straight line, and at 90% consolidation, at 90%, this is the 90.9 means 90% consolidation. The Abscissa S AC, this AC is this horizontal axis or horizontal line, we can say, is 1.15 times to the AB. So AC is nothing but AC is equal to 1.15 AB, right? And based on this experimental curve has been plotted. You can see here the characteristics of theoretical curve is used to determine the point of 90% consolidation on the experimental curves. See this idea, what is the idea? AC is equal to 1.15 into AB. So this idea has been used for this curve, experimental curve, to find out the 90% consolidation, right? So this is the experimental curve, and this is the theoretical curve. So further, the initial dial reading at O, we have already collected the data in the tabular form, the timing and the dial gauge reading. So what we are going to do, we are going to plot the graphs. You can see in the initial dial reading, O, this is the O, corresponds to the time T0. That means the experiment has not been started. And degree of consolidation will be U, degree of consolidation will also be 0. The state portion is extended back. See, whenever we are going to plot the graphs in between the dial gauge reading and the square root of time in minute, this graph we can achieve from O. You can see this is the curve here, and again this is becoming a state up to here, okay, up to here, and then it is becoming curve in the form of a curve, right? So what it says that this straight line, right, this straight line will be extended back if you are going to, because this the original curve is going to start from O, but this you are going to extend back this straight line, it cuts at O dash, okay, it meets at O dash, which is called corrected zero value, corrected 0 point, or a starting point of primary consolidation. You can see the primary consolidation graph is from here to up to this point, okay? So primary consolidation and the consolidation between O and O dash, is called initial consolidation or compression. See, initial compression is due to the many factors. See, this is we can say that the corrected 0 point, and this initial compression is due to the many factors, like a small quantity of air in this soil, right? Imperfect saturation. Suppose you have not saturated completely this soil, you have not opened the reservoir, the water reservoir during the consolidation test. So in that case, the saturation will not be proper. So definitely the initial compressions, the value we can get, and lateral expansion of the soil specimen, which may happen if you are if it is imperfectly mounted on the consolidation test operators, or in the audiometer or consolidometer. So this comes under the initial consolidation or compressions. Now we can see here a new straight line is now drawn from the corrected 0 point. Actually, this is O dash is a corrected 0 point. This is the initial compressions, which we can say that is the error. Actually, also we can say initial compression. Also, we can say it is error. Okay. So this is the corrected points. So from O dash, what it says that a new line, new straight lines we can draw, right? O dash, L dash, and S dash. How we can draw this line? Such that its abscissa everywhere is 1.15 times the abscissa of the straight portion of the experimental plot, such as you can see here, KL dash is equal to 1.15 into KL. Likewise, we shall find out the various points on this O dash, L dash, S dash, this line, on this line, we shall find out the various points, and then we can join together. Similarly, you can see RS dash is nothing but 1.15 into RS. So a line is then drawn, O dash, L dash, S dash. Whenever you are going to draw the lines, it cuts at point E. Actually, this is the original curve, right? So this line, straight lines, O dash, L dash, S dash, is going to cut the original curve at point E. Okay, and that represents the 90% consolidation. We can see here, suppose here actually at the point E, 90% consolidation. What we are going to do, we can plot one, we can draw one vertical lines. Suppose it is going to cut at 7.5 here. So a square root of T90, because 90% consolidation, we can say T90, a square root of T90 will be equal to 7.5, or further we can write T90 is equal to 7.5 whole square. This will be equal to 56.25 minutes. So we should know that the time factor is equal to CV into T by D square. CV is the coefficient of consolidation and T is the time, right? And D is the drainage path. I will also tell you that what is the drainage path. So CV is nothing but coefficient of consolidation, which we have to determine during the consolidation test for a particular pressure, for a particular pressure. So CV is equal to TV 90 into D square by T90. Like that, we can find out the equations. So T90 already we have found from this graph, which is 56.25 minutes. We can convert this second. And the time factor we can calculate by using this formula, right? Use the degree of consolidation, which will be 90%, means 90. We can put directly 90 here. So TV we can calculate. So TV is known and T90 is also known, right? T90 is also known. So then we have to know the D. The D is the drainage path. So drainage path means, let us take the example. Suppose below the ground level, one clay layer is there, right? And above the clay layer, sand layer is there, which meets at the ground surface, right? That means what I'm trying to say here, suppose below the ground level, sand layer is there, then clay layer is there. Again, after the clay layer, sand layer is there. And the pressure is going to be applied. And the clay layer is fully saturated, right? And the pressure is going to be applied on the clay layers. So what is going to happen? The expulsion of water from the pores will take place in upward direction as well as in downward direction, right? So that is called as the drainage path. So H is the thickness of the clay layers, right? Thickness of the clay layers, and number of drainage faces means it is the pore water pressure is going to release in upward direction because the sand layer is there in the upward, and also in the downward layer, downward of the clay layers. So the drainage of pore water will take place in upward as well as the downward. So H is the thickness of the clay layer. So D we can calculate. Similarly, this is called a double drainage, right? D is equal to H by 2, number of drainage faces, number of drainage faces is there. For single drainage faces, that means suppose below ground level, sand layer is there, and below sand layer, clay layer is there, and below clay layer, rock is there. So if the clay layer is going to be compressed by certain structure, right, or clay layer is fully saturated, and the load, the pressure is going to be applied on the clay layer, in that case, what is going to happen? The pore water pressure will release in only in upward direction, not in downward direction, because the stone, the rock will not allow to go water to release the pore water in downward direction. It will not possible. It will not be possible. So it will move only in the upward direction. So single drainage, that is called a single drainage, right? So we can see here. Let us take the example here. We can understand D is equal to H by 2. 2 means number of drainage passes is, and the number of drainage faces is 2, or drainage path is 2. And H, what is the H? Suppose whatever the sample we have taken, let us take the example. The thickness of the initial thickness of the sample is 1.738 centimeter, and final thickness, that means after 24 hours test, is 1.611. Then we shall divide by 4. This will be equal to 0.837. Okay. So CV, coefficient of consolidation, we can calculate by this formula, which will be equal to 1.76 into 10 power minus 4 cm square per second. So this is the example which I have given you, that how we can calculate the coefficient of consolidations using the experimental graph, right? Now we can see that how the different formulas are there for the calculation or for the determination of the time factor, TV. Suppose degree of consolidation U is less than 60%. In that case, we can use this formula. If it is more than 60%, in that case, TV we can calculate using this formula or this formula, right? Now we shall talk about some another topic. How we can calculate the settlement or consolidation settlement SC using coefficient of compressibility AV, coefficient of volume change MV, and compression index CC. See, this definition already have discussed in the last lecture. So this SC, the assessment of SC or the determination of consolidation settlement using these parameters are very, very important from the numerical point of view also, right? So let us see how we can find out the different equations for the coefficient for the consolidation settlement or SC, right? Let us see. As we know, the void ratio is equal to, here U is the initial void ratio, volume of void by volume of solid. So volume of void we can write total volume minus volume of solid, right? Which can be further written as V by Vs minus 1, or V by Vs is equal to 1 plus EO, initial void ratio. Like that also we can write. So further V is equal to Vs into 1 plus EO. Like that also we can write initial void ratio. So total volume of the sample we can write V is equal to A into A is the cross-sectional area of the sample. S is the thickness of the sample. So V is equal to AH, and this V is equal to Vs into 1 plus EO. Both we can equate here. So AH is equal to this much also we can write. And we can see one important point here. When the soil is confined laterally, right? Suppose lateral movement is not there. As let us take the example of consolidation test, right? Only one dimension consolidation there is there. The horizontal displacement of the sample is not allowed, right? So what it says that when the soil is confined laterally, change in volume is proportional to the change in height. So whatever the height is going to change, accordingly the volume is also going to change. And the initial volume is proportional to the initial height h of the sample. This also we have to know. So suppose if delta is the change in height, initial height of the sample due to the application of a particular pressure, corresponding change in void ratio is delta I. The void ratio, void is also going to change. So what we can write, how much volume is going to decrease, right? A cross-section area into change in height is equal to how much void is going to change. So Vs, volume of the solid, multiplied by delta I. This is the volume of void. Volume of void is equal to volume of void by volume of solid is the void ratio. So this will be volume of void, and this is the volume of the sample. So equation 2, what we are going to do, suppose you are going to, this is the equation 2, divide the equation 2 by equation 1, we can get, this is the equation 1, right? This is equation 2. So divide this equation by this. So we shall get these values, Vs by Vs will go, and then we can get delta E by 1 plus U, right? So further we can also write this equation, this delta V, right? Change in initial volume, delta V divided by total V is equal to, we can also write that delta H by H, this will be equal to delta H by H, and further it will be equal to delta E by 1 plus E, okay? And as we know, coefficient of volume change or is equal to volumetric extent divided by change in effective stress. This is the definition for the coefficient of volume change, MV. So negative signs we are ignoring here because it indicates the decrease in height with increase in pressures. So what we are going to do now, from equation 4 and 5, MV will be, in place of delta V by V, we can also write these values here and by delta E. But we know coefficient of compressibility, this is a coefficient of volume change or coefficient of volume compressibility, MV. So we know that delta E by delta sigma bar is called as coefficient of compressibility, AV. So MV we can also write like in this form, MV is equal to AV by 1 plus EO. So further MV also we can write, because this is equal to here delta H by H. So we can also write delta H by H by change in effective stress. So further, if you are going to simplify, delta H is nothing but delta H will be equal to MV into delta sigma bar into H. So this is also one of the important equation for the consolidation settlement. Sometimes in the numericals it is asked, suppose MV is given there, change in effective stress is given, the thickness of the sample is given there, or thickness of the soil there is given, then how much settlement is going to take place, we can also calculate by this equation. Now from equation 6, we can see that MV, from equation 6, what we can write, MV is equal to delta E by 1 plus U into 1 by the change in effective stress also we can write. From equation 4, we know that delta H by H is equal to this much, okay? So what we can write, delta H is equal to, again, delta E by 1 plus U into H. This H will be multiplied. So this is also the consolidation settlement. So what I'm trying to say here, the consolidation settlement can be calculated by this formula or even by this formula also. Now we can see, as you know, the compression index, this compression index CC, we have also studied this definition in the last lecture, is the change in void ratio divided by log of the final void ratio divided by initial effective stress. Final effective stress divided by initial effective stress base to 10, right? This formula is sometimes also written as, the compression index like this way. So both formula can be used for solving the numericals. So here we can see the equation 11. Delta E we can write also Cc into log the final effective stress divided by initial effective stress base to 10, right? So the equation 12 we can write this equation also we can write like this way, and this equation also we can write like this way. So equation 13 and 14 we can see. So substituting the values of delta E, if you are going to substitute the values of delta E in equation 10, right? This is the equation 10. So you can see the equation 10, if you are going to substitute the delta E value, we can get this equation. SC is equal to this much, 15, equation number 15. And if you are going to substitute this equation 12, right? You can see if you are going to substitute this delta E, what we shall get? What we can get? Cc, we are going to, in this equation, if you are going to substitute these values here, substitute delta E in this equation, what we shall get? We shall get this equation and this equation. That means what we have studied in the previous slides, the equation 8, 10, 15, and 16 can be utilized for the calculation of settlement. So these relations, these formulas are important for the numerical point of view. So this is all about your today lecture. Thank you.